Welcome to the Faith Geek Podcast. The Faith Geek Podcast is your weekly source for all things current in geek culture. From entertainment to sports, parenting to religion. Be sure to check us out on the web by visiting www.thefaithgeek.com. Now, let us welcome Brent Whetstone and Joe Gerbery.
Hey guys, welcome to the Faith Geek Podcast. This is Brent Whetstone, and I am joined live tonight with the entire Faith Geek team. We just got done... Welcome, guys. We just got done watching the brand new Russell Crowe Noah movie. And
Emma Watson. Noah movie.
Yeah, about that.
And we're gonna give you our breakdown. I know right now on the internet there are a lot of there's a lot of criticism and praise going out. In particular, I want to talk about Ken Ham, who I support the Creation Museum and Ken Ham and the work that he does, but I gotta disagree with him on this one. He called the movie tonight blasphemous, and they're actually live streaming right now as we are live streaming. I disagree with him. I don't think the movie was blasphemous at all. I give it 5 stars from my end. I really enjoyed it. If you follow me...
If, like I say, if you're taking it as a not...
Biblical
interpretation. As long as you understand that it's not a biblical interpretation
right.
of the story,
and
then
that's...
yes, you can take it as... And then I would get... It was entertaining. I even laughed quite a few times. Inappropriately, but I laughed.
I definitely thought it was okay. I mean, there were parts where I'm like, oh yeah, that's pretty good. And there are other times I'm like, really? I mean, come on, guys. And, you know, in general, it really wasn't that bad. But there were other times that it could have been better, I felt.
Noah is my favorite story in the Bible. My son's name is Noah. And I went into it expecting it to be nothing but entertainment. I didn't go in with a biblical, like, hey, I'm going to stand here with the book of Genesis open, and I'm going to read line for line the story of Noah and make sure that they live up to the standard of the Bible.
No, I really wasn't expecting it to be biblically accurate, quite honestly. I was more expecting to watch more of a gladiator-type movie, quite honestly, because that's just the kind of vibe and feel I felt coming into it.
Yeah, I agree. And I'll caution you, listen, if you're going to this, if you're going to it as a theologian, and you're going to expecting 100% theological. Well, that's what happens when you say percent and theological. If you expect something to be 100% theological, then you're going to be disappointed. But if you're going, bringing your non-Christian friends to this, I think this would be an excellent tool to start a conversation about what God is capable of. And we'll get to that in a minute, but I want to go around. We're joined today by Chris Ward, who is our movie guy, Heather Whetstone, my lovely wife, who is our editor, and Karen, the illustrious Karen, reporter Karen, who brings...
Bell, you forgot her last name.
That's not what it was. That's not what it was.
Don't you worry.
Sure, okay.
Completely what that was.
It's a together thing. You gotta be like Karen Bell.
No, that is not what it was, guys.
It
Come
is.
on. Well, I know that that's your last name, but that's not what it was.
I was
like
your 40-year-old aunt. That
I was trying to bring your illustriousness up and think of a creative title for you other than just
Karen Bell.
Karen Bell.
Yeah.
Joe's girlfriend, Karen Bell. And then, of course, as always, my humble sidekick, Joseph.
Humble.
Joseph Gerbery.
I take the sidekick.
I thought he was calling me a sidekick, and I was like, he just got demoted.
No, never. So why don't we go around the room and we'll start with Chris. What was your takeaway from the movie?
My takeaway?
Yeah, what's your takeaway?
Oh gee. Well, there were some good points in it, in that they were showing, as far as Noah kind of exploring his relationship with God and trying to figure that out while he was going throughout the film. And I think that kind of mirrors our own relationship with God at times, and that's we're still trying to figure it out as we go throughout life. There's times where we think that we know what's going on, and other times where we're just not entirely sure.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that was probably a big point coming from this, is that, Noah was trying to do what he believed God was telling him to do, yet he still wasn't 100% sure all the time.
Right. What about you, Heather?
I went to the movie expecting it to be Hollywood. I was okay with that, but I found myself actually bothered by some of the liberties they took with the story. Not so much from a Christian perspective, like I wasn't ready to throw Bibles at the screen, but I think they added...
have multiple Bibles?
I
to
do.
throw at the
I
screen?
just carry them with me.
There was a bug on the
There's
screen.
a bug. I was going to say there's a bug on the screen.
I wanted it so bad. Just run up and just knock it down. Oh, I'm really glad somebody else saw
I
that.
didn't even see it.
Oh, it was there.
It was on Russell
It was
Crowe
like a
most of the
potato
time.
bug that was crawling around or
Yeah.
stink bug. But no, I thought they added too much to it sometimes. And not that I was upset that they added things to the storyline, but I think they had so many plots going. I don't want to give too many spoilers for anyone who still wants to see it.
Yeah, we're spoiler heavy here.
Yeah, this
On
is
this.
going to be
Yeah.
extremely spoiler heavy.
Get out now.
Well, the whole stowaway thing really annoyed me. I could have
Yeah.
drowned him when they drowned everyone else, and I would have been fine with it. I think they just tried to do too much.
Really? It wasn't the giant rock angels that really threw you
But
off?
here, listen, I want
Because that,
I
you
want to
know-
talk. I want to talk about the Rock Angels when it gets around to me.
Angels!
Rock Angels.
That's what.
Yeah, I did find myself questioning, do I remember large rock
But listen,
monsters?
you've got to think there
Bible,
had to be
but-
some sort of heavenly intervention for Noah to accomplish
But
what he
that didn't bother
accomplished.
me. I'm telling you, it was the whole stowaway storyline that
No,
annoyed
that
me the
really
most.
was.
I mean, that
And-
could have
No,
been
no.
one thing, but
That
it was
bothered
like,
me a little bit.
yeah. Well, yes, the stowaway thing definitely bothered me, because I'm like, oh, come on, just get rid of the guy. But, yeah.
He was unnecessary. There
Yeah.
was
Well,
enough drama in the
added-
story
there
of
was
Noah.
so much
without
added
He caused the
conflict in
extinction
there.
of how many creepy crawlies?
Well, in that way, keep him on the ark.
Exactly.
But hey,
Joe. All right, we're not going to listen to Joe.
I got
No.
too many things in my
Fine.
brain.
Joe's
so-
got too many things going on. Karen.
I think that when I exit a movie, I always like to think what would be next. And so I think the funnest part was to, because we all know the biblical story. So, like, complete Hollywood story, I think that it would be really funny to see a Noah 2. Like, you need to know what
Electric
happened to Ham.
Boogaloo.
And I feel like Cain's coming back from nowhere. He's going to be, like, stuck in some snowy ice cube somewhere that, all of a sudden he
Captain
didn't actually
America.
die. And
That-
Which that's
that-
gonna
you
happen
didn't
in
see
a
him
couple weeks.
die. You didn't see his dead body. I mean, you saw him stabbed. He could be alive somewhere.
This is true.
yeah.
Yeah.
Here's what I'm going to say, and I'm going to approach this first from a theological standpoint, because I did
Because they didn't.
because
Yeah.
I think the problem with this movie is going to be is that we have so many Christians who are going to go in and they're going to hate it because it wasn't biblically accurate, and they're not going to take the following things out of it.
Yeah.
Okay, first of all, Noah had to have some intervention.
Yes.
It would have been impossible for him to accomplish what he accomplished on as large of a scale as he accomplished without some divine intervention. Whether that's rock angels or superhuman strength or whatever, he had some sort of divine intervention. I think we all can agree on that.
So he's Kal-El.
He's Kal-El, you know.
Oh, so he's an alien.
There we go. Which,
But even hundreds of years to do it in the primitive time that they served in, like, they didn't have the tools that we had to accomplish things.
But they had children.
They had
Big children.
small children.
but that's the thing, is that with this movie, they showed his family being a bit smaller than perhaps the Bible says, because his sons
It was
were always
it was
supposed
for
to
the
have
storyline.
boys coming
Right.
into
It was for the
Yeah.
storyline. That's
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, it was all adding in as far as
But
that goes.
be that as it
But-
may,
Ham sacrificed a wife for story.
exactly. Be that as it may, even with the children being adults and them possibly having their own children who were strong enough and able-bodied to work, I still think that the massiveness of the Ark project would have taken a lot more than just that. So
Isn't that what makes it a miracle?
Yeah.
Well, yeah, but
Without
sometimes
the rock angels.
Without-
but sometimes miracles require the divine intervention of other things or other people, right?
I mean, divine intervention is what makes it a miracle. If it were something else, it would just be like Noah
Rock
building
angels.
an ark. But it wasn't. It was a miracle. That's what
But
makes
the
it.
other thing, and why I think the rock angels were necessary, is because the rock angels show that redemption's necessary for you to gain access to heaven. So as the rock angels were fighting that battle, they asked for forgiveness of God. And what did God do? He accepted that forgiveness and brought them into heaven. So I think Christians are going to gloss over that because they were so upset with the movie.
Right. Yeah, there were good biblical takeaways. There were good principles that were displayed in the movie, that we want to make sure that, we promote as Christians, even though that there was, obviously, it was not biblical.
Rock
Hardly at all.
angels.
Rock angels. I was having never-ending
there
story
was-
flashbacks, actually.
Well, I was getting
Rock
more of a
people.
Transformers feeling, quite honestly. It was Michael Bay all
There's some
over
of that
again. I'm
too.
like, oh, come on.
For half
Yeah.
a second, I was like, this potentially could be Lord of the Rings if I had ever watched it to know what it was.
What?
Okay, moving on from
No,
that.
don't
They-
get into it.
Oh,
Don't get into
We're
it.
here to talk about Noah.
Oh,
Don't
come
get into
on.
it. Don't get into it.
The other thing that I
I've
like,
had these conversations.
and Joe,
Oh.
you can speak to this because Joe and I both called into the ministry, went out to Bible school. The struggle that I saw with Noah with his calling, and whether or not he actually heard from God, and what God's plan actually was. And I loved that struggle.
Yeah.
Like, it showed that Noah was human. And I think that we, like, as ministers...
And we showed that doubt isn't the absence of faith.
Right. And I
Doubt
love
is
that.
not the absence of faith.
I think
And-
doubt is part of our calling, and it's part of our walk as Christians, that we're going to doubt, and we're going to see things that are going to bother us, and we're going to wonder. But then always, ultimately, I mean, the little thing at the end where both the babies are girls, and, an hour and a half before that, Noah was trying to convince everyone that God always provides what we need. Well, there, God is providing a way for the human race to continue on by giving Shem's daughter,
You eat
or
gross things,
Shem's
but yes.
Shem's wife, 2 daughters.
Yeah.
But what I was going to say is, like, in our calling, we struggle to know whether or not we're hearing God. And I think they did a very good job with showing Noah, like, is this me or is this God that we're
Right.
talking
Right.
about?
And that's
So-
a struggle that every Christian feels like. Not just somebody who feels called to ministry or called to move out. That's something that every Christian, I feel like, has a struggle with. Is this, is what I'm hearing right? Is that an answer to a prayer? Is that
But isn't that enough drama without the stowaway? Because I loved that aspect of the storyline, him questioning. And I loved the drama between him and his son and him and his wife. I thought all of that was very human, and it made Noah very real. But then we have the guy crawling around eating snakes in the bottom of the boat and stabbing people. And, like, that was so pure Hollywood and so
But
unnecessarily there.
I
that
think they
bothered
did
me.
it because you've got 40 days where they're on the ark, and nothing
40 days
happens.
of just rain while they're on the ark.
And
You don't
nothing
even
happens.
know-
Then it's at least
But
another
they
40
skipped
days
that
after
anyway.
that.
We saw
True.
15 minutes of them on the ark, so
Right.
why bother?
Somehow Emma Watson was able to be impregnated and
As
then
the
carry
first raindrops
twins
But
fell
think
to
about-
full term while being on the ark.
Everything...
in 15
What-
minutes.
Everything, I think, God sped up at that point. Look at how fast the trees sprung
Right.
up. Look at how fast the water sprung up from the original well that was there from where the seed was planted. But I really did like that aspect. And another thing I liked, and I don't know if you guys took the same thing I did, but, like, I think the reason at the end why Noah started to get drunk and everything like that is because God put on him the judgment of all humanity. Even though it was God judging humanity, Noah was the one who was
He
enacting.
internalized it.
He internalized. Yeah, I agree.
Like,
And-
hey, I'm going to shut the door on you. Sure, I have plenty of room for a lot of you, but I know what God's called me to do, so I'm going to lock you out. So now he's tormented on the inside.
Right.
And, for that last little bit at the end, he starts drinking heavily and becomes the Russell Crowe alcoholic that we all know.
and love.
And love. He's not Nicolas Cage.
There we go with that again.
So, I mean, overall, I was impressed with it. I think don't listen to the naysaying Christian ministries out there that are like, this wasn't 100% biblically accurate. I think every Christian needs to go out and find someone who's not a Christian that they care about and bring to see this movie, because I think it would be an awesome conversation starter, and it could lead into a lot of better
you can
things.
definitely go into what's different about this from how the Bible says it, and then you get in the Bible, and that's always a good thing.
Right, well, that is one positive thing about this movie, is it has caused a lot of people to talk about the Bible, to read the Bible, to look into it. And if that's the only thing that it does, then fine, that's all good. Even though it's not entirely accurate, it's still causing stuff for having people to look into it.
Right.
Right, and the Bible wasn't written as a screenplay. I mean, they had to
Not at
add a
all.
certain amount of substance, or, not substance, like the Bible doesn't have substance, but they had to add dialogue,
Filler.
and they had to... Filler.
I mean, the story of Noah is actually relatively short, and to be able to make a 2+ hour movie out of it, yeah, you're going to have to add a lot of extra content.
Right. And I will say that they had biblical scholars on staff who were helping them along the way. So, I mean, the underlying tone of this, I would say, is 100% biblically accurate. The creative licenses are going to be there in any movie produced by Hollywood that has a Christian theme.
You do even a movie about Jesus, the most written about person in the history of ever, and there's creative differences taken, and
Well, Yeah, when I did Son of God and I did my review on that, it's like, yeah, they took, liberties with that, but the only way you're going to get a perfect representation of Jesus is if he came down and played himself.
Right.
So, as we're, probably not going to see that really soon, but who knows? So, I say we just take what we're given and are able to actually do with it right now.
Yeah, I agree. I definitely think that this will be a tool that churches could use for evangelism, and if they don't, they're stupid.
Right.
I mean,
And I will say, I don't know if you caught, the two girls sitting behind us as we were getting up to leave were talking about it, and the one said, wow, now I really need to go home and reread Genesis to see. And I thought, bingo.
Exactly.
That's
what it is.
exactly what it can accomplish. Trying to think, I don't know. I really enjoyed it. Noah, like I said at the beginning of this broadcast, Noah's my favorite story in the Bible, and I was not offended by this. If you've listened to my broadcast on Scientology, you know that the story of Noah is what actually brought me out of Scientology. So Noah always has a special place in my heart.
It's just your kid, too.
Well, yeah, it's my kid,
It
too.
might have something to do with
It might have a little bit of something to do with
Yes,
it.
except our kid threatened yesterday to build a boat
And sail away. Which he would take his stuffed animals and us with him so he wouldn't miss us.
That's all right.
Yeah.
I think he at least said I'm taking Mom with me,
Yeah, whatever.
So.
But again, I encourage you, if you're Christian, go see it. If you're not a Christian, go see it. And think about the themes that you're seeing. I didn't see an overly environmentalist theme to it.
No.
I know that was one of the criticisms. I mean, there was a minor environmentalist thing, but hey, as Christians, we are called to be stewards of the earth, and if we're not taking care of it
I
properly,
didn't see anything environmental about
not
it. What
every-
really
What-
environmental
As far
about
as
it?
the animals went and the way that they were kind of putting them above humans to a certain degree.
that and in the very beginning, the
so
whole
they were being
industrialized,
Yeah.
the whole
That
industrialized
that kind of
thing.
bothered me, though. I will say we suddenly switched in time frame to the Industrial Revolution.
I
they-
swear at some point when they had
But
a
if you-
silhouette of a soldier,
They did.
Well,
it was
but-
in the Cain and Abel.
That was
Yeah.
a foreshadow of
Right, that's what I was
mankind's
thinking.
constant struggle between each other.
Which I actually kind of liked. And I loved the creation story when he told it
Yeah.
in the ark
Yeah.
and the way
And
that
that
was
was
presented.
How about that? I mean, you open the show with scripture, and then towards the end, you get the entire first chapter of Genesis 1.
right?
He goes through the entire creation story
Right.
in an awesome illustrated way, I think. I think they did an awesome job with the effects on that.
Yeah.
And I would love just that clip to use when I talk about that.
Snake.
in sermons. And the snake was pretty awesome.
Snake was creepy.
And
Snake was creepy.
the forbidden fruit, how it had a heartbeat,
Yeah.
that
gosh.
was awesome.
Yeah.
So, I mean, overall, I think this movie is great, and I hope it does well in the theaters. It's one that I would not mind owning, so I would buy it.
I would sit through it again, minus the
Because Kirk
potato
Cameron
bug
didn't make
clogging
it.
up the-
No.
I mean, what?
And that's the thing. I think that's what we're getting. I mean, you had The Way of the Master, who immediately released their own version of the Noah story to, like, counteract this one.
Right.
Well, hey, guess what? Way of the Master, your job is to get people saved. That's not the job of Paramount
Right.
Studios.
Right.
Their job is to
No, but
entertain
if they
people.
accomplish both, bonus. And
Exactly.
I think you limit God when you say a movie like this can't reach people. I mean, he can take anything and make it for his will. So.
Well, and that's a conversation that I was having with a friend out in California right as we were getting ready to walk in. We were talking about this and another movie that we're going to be featuring this Sunday on our normal podcast. But all it takes is for a small seed to be planted for the Holy Spirit to actually to work and cause that to grow. And I think, you know, that's exactly what Noah is. It's that little seed like Noah planted that he got from his grandfather, from the original seed from the Garden of Eden. He planted it, and the wellspring that came up from that caused things to happen. That's how God could work through a little seed like the Noah movie.
Mm-hmm.
So, cool. All right, guys. This has been a special podcast of the Faith Geek Podcast, bringing you Noah 2014, something that I think we all can go around and agree is a movie to be seen.
Final thoughts. Anybody have any final thoughts? Go around the room. Chris, final thoughts?
No, I think I'm pretty good.
Heather?
We're good. Go see it.
Karen?
Go for it.
Brent?
I could talk for hours on it because I love Noah, but I'm going to end the broadcast there.
End on that.
Yeah, go see it if for no other reason than the Rock Angels, who were absolutely amazing. All right, guys, have a great night. We'll see you back live Sunday on the Faith Geek Podcast, where we will be featuring The Record Keeper. It's, in my opinion, probably one of the best movies that has not yet been seen by anyone. So we are going to try and make this movie happen. So join us live. We'll be talking to the writer-director of The Record Keeper coming up Sunday, 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Thanks, guys, and have a great night.
Ow!
Thank you for listening to the Faith Geek Podcast. The Faith Geek Podcast is brought to you by thefaithgeek.com, your online Christian resource for all things geek culture. Remember, you can always listen to this and any of our archive shows by visiting www.thefaithgeek.com.